Hi everybody, it's Emily Graziano here. It is June 1st, 2022. It is Marilyn Monroe's birthday. It would have been her 96th birthday today, and to put that into context, she was born the exact same year as Queen Elizabeth II. So when you think about that, yes, Marilyn could have been alive today. And that to me is just very, very fascinating. But to celebrate what would have been Marilyn's birthday, I'm going to share with you my top 5 Marilyn Monroe movies and a couple of honorable mentions. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people out there, will say, oh, I love Marilyn. She's such an icon. She's so iconic. But they won't even bother to watch her movies. I kind of grew up with someone like that who thought Marilyn was just so glamorous and iconic, but I don't think she would sit down to watch one of her movies. And it's like, well, that's really the best way to get to know a part of her. And I say a part of her because I think there is much more to her than meets the eye. I think she was actually quite intelligent. She may not have, shown up on time and know her lines and everything like that. She may have had trouble with that, but I don't believe she was a dumb blonde. I think she was quite intelligent and that she had a lot of depth within her, and all you have to do is watch her movies to get a nuance of that, to realize there's so much more than meets the eye. But to get started, I'm going to share my top 5. And before I do number 1, I'll share my 2 honorable mentions. So with number 5, starting with number 5 from 1959, Some Like It Hot. I think this movie is really, really essential. You may think I'm being too harsh for putting it at number 5, but I still think it matters a lot. And I think what knocks it down is I'm not a super fan of Tony Curtis or Jack Lemmon, to be honest, but this movie I think is the exception because both of them are just so great. The script is good. Billy Wilder's amazing. You got Marilyn. She gets to sing. She gets to dance. She's not as ditzy as you may believe. I just think it's a great movie, and it takes place in Chicago in the 1920s, so that alone makes it an essential for me. If you haven't seen it, then I think you need to go out and see it because it's just very, very, it's so essential to see it. Okay. At number 4, we have a Western. The movie from 1961. Yes, 61. Okay, The Misfits with Clark Gable and Montgomery Clift alongside Marilyn. Amazingly, this is Marilyn's final movie, and it's also Clark Gable's final movie as well. Nobody could have predicted that, but it's kind of like a modern Western, and I remember the first time I watched it, my mom, she's like, Emily, why do you want to see The Misfits? I'm like, because Marilyn and Clark's final movie. She's like, the premise doesn't sound very good. And the premise is Marilyn plays this divorcee, and she meets this aging cowboy played by Clark Gable, and Montgomery Clift plays this, somewhat tired and worn out rodeo rider. They kind of get together and they're a group of misfits, but I know that a prominent part of the plot, because I actually haven't seen the movie for a while, is about they need to wrangle up a group of horses for dog food, and that was actually the description on TCM, and my mom's like, why do you want to watch that? I'm like, well, I didn't know that was the plot. I just know that this was the final movie. But this movie, although Marilyn hated her performance, it's quite good. And for Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe, their last ever screen appearance in a motion picture, I think it's really, really good. Although it was hated upon initial release, I think that today you see Marilyn give a lot of versatility in her performance. She's come a long way from her first movie to this movie, and she has just a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess depth within this performance. I think it's very fascinating. Although Clark Gable behind the scenes would say none of us knew what we were doing, including the director, and the making of the behind the scenes of this movie is actually one of the most fascinating things. Unfortunately, there's no bonus features on this movie, but The Misfits, I think it is an essential, and not just because it's their final movie, but because it's quite interesting. So, The Misfits. Up next from 1954, a movie that kind of surprised me when I watched it. It's The River of No Return. Let me say this when I say I don't seek out Robert Mitchum films. Robert Mitchum films come to me. It's like, okay, I want to see this movie. Oh, Robert Mitchum just so happens to be in it. That happened a couple times because I wanted to see Out of the Past. He happened to be in it. He's in The Longest Day. He's in El Dorado. Both of those also have John Wayne in them. But it's like, oh, Robert Mitchum. Okay, and this movie kind of made me see Robert Mitchum in a different light. He actually plays like a romantic type of hero in this movie, all while maintaining his like tough persona. It's very interesting. It's somewhat against type, but not really against type, where it's still believable. They're like, oh yeah, that's Robert Mitchum. But this movie really blew me away. And Marilyn, she gets to play a mother figure to Robert Mitchum's son in the movie, so I thought that added a whole new layer of her acting skills because she was just so good with the little boy who plays his son. I think it's Matt Jr. because that's Matt. Matt Sr. is Robert Mitchum. So but Marilyn plays a dance hall star, singer, whatever you want to call it. But I think it's really interesting because it's not all glamour. They're out in the wilderness. There's amazing cinematography in this movie. I just really love this movie. Although Marilyn didn't like this movie, she called it like a Z-grade Western. But I think she was being much too harsh. So, River of No Return. My number 2 all-time favorite Marilyn Monroe movie is from 1953, Niagara. Okay, now, there's a mini backstory to this. When I was about 11 years old, I looked up Marilyn Monroe on Google, and I clicked on her Wikipedia page, and there was a picture of her in this movie. Very similar to this image. And I'm like, whoa, she's so beautiful. I have to see this movie. What movie is that? And it turned out to be Niagara. And I didn't get to see the movie for many, many years to come because I didn't know that it was A, on DVD, and B, I didn't know that TCM was going to be airing it throughout the years. And TCM actually doesn't air Fox movies that much. Like in Niagara, they've maybe aired it like 5 times over the past 10 years or something like that. But when I finally did see this, it was everything I thought it would be and more. It's a quite complex story. It's actually a murder story gone wrong, and it's all in this luscious color set against Niagara Falls. And they actually went to Niagara Falls to make this movie. So you got Marilyn Monroe, Joseph Cotton, whom of which is just so handsome in this movie. Although he's older, he's still very handsome. And he also plays kind of the villain figure a little bit. And then you've got Jean Peters, who, for me, Jean Peters is the standout performance of this movie. Like, she's basically the scene stealer. It's Marilyn's movie, but Jean Peters is the scene stealer. It basically introduced me to her, and she's just fabulous. She's the great brunette. She's kind of like the mousy brunette to Marilyn's blonde shell blonde, but I love this movie so much. The costumes, the atmosphere, everything just screams 1953 in the coolest way ever. There's a record player scene in which Marilyn gets to sing Kiss. I think it's just called Kiss, and I love it so much. It's fabulous. It's amazing. I wish more people would see this movie. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Okay, so now I'm going to mention my 2 honorable mentions before I get to my number 1 pick. First honorable mention, How to Marry a Millionaire. I'll be honest, completely honest, the first time I saw this movie, I didn't like it one bit. I thought the plot was kind of stupid. I thought Lauren Bacall, I thought she was kind of like really pushy in it. I thought Lauren Bacall was kind of against type because she was waiting around for a man, basically, and that's not the type of roles that she usually played. And Betty Grapple, I'm like, well, I don't really like Betty Grapple that much. I think her storyline's stupid because it's all about them trying to find millionaire husbands. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, Marilyn actually was really adorable in this movie. She's so adorable because she wears the glasses, but she doesn't want to wear the glasses in public because she thinks that, oh no, Millionaire is going to want to marry me in glasses. And just her trying to like find the knife or something at dinner or whatever, she accidentally trips while modeling. She doesn't fall down, but you know she trips. It was just so adorable. Because it's like, oh, just put on the glasses, you'll still be fabulous. But yeah, I actually came around to this movie giving it a second chance. And I'm really glad I did. So I think it's a good performance. Still not my favorite, but very much one worth owning. And a bonus, William Powell is in this movie. So that is always a good thing. My second honorable mention is from 1950. She plays a very much a supporting role, The Asphalt Jungle. This movie proves she's not a dumb blonde at all because she has a lot of snappy and quick dialogue, as a lot of film noirs do. And it's brilliant. She's so young, it's very different. And again, although it's very much a supporting part, you can tell why this kind of made her noticeable to audiences on screen. The main star in this movie is Sterling Hayden, and while I'm not a big fan of Sterling Hayden, this is just a great film noir. It's essential, I think. So, yeah, The Asphalt Jungle. Directed by John Huston, who would also direct The Misfits later in her career. So, Asphalt Jungle. And now, my number one pick for my favorite Marilyn Monroe movie, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I absolutely adore this movie, everything about it. Marilyn Monroe, Jane Russell, directed by Howard Hawks. Do you believe Howard Hawks, the man who would direct like To Have and Have Not, Rio Bravo, El Dorado, Breeding Up Baby, His Girl Friday, the most fastest talking picture ever made. He would direct a musical with Marilyn and have it be good. I would never guess that, but every song in this soundtrack makes me want to get up, dance, and sing along to it. Like, I don't care if it's the opening number, Two Girls from Little Rock. I don't care if it's the finale number of Marilyn's Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. Every single song, I want to get up, dance, and sing along. Here's a great behind-the-scenes picture of Jane and Marilyn from the opening number, just two little girls from Little Rock, having Cokes and checking their makeup. I love that picture. I love that opening number. If you haven't seen it, I think it would blow you away on just how interesting the plot is. Because, yeah, they're both gold diggers, essentially. But Jane Russell, she kind of wants an athletic guy. And Marilyn, she wants a guy who will give her a lot of diamonds and jewels. And the ending may surprise you. I'll say that. But, yeah, I love everything about this movie. It's great. 1953 was a great year for Marilyn Monroe, and this is my all-time favorite. So there you go. There's my top 5 Marilyn Monroe movies, 2 honorable mentions, and Marilyn Monroe, what can I say? She is an icon, but she was also a human being that's deeply complex. I think she's fascinating, and I was very glad to make this movie and share it. Make this video and share it with all of you. Thank you for watching. I'm Emily Graziano, and I'll see you soon. Let me know your favorite Marilyn Monroe movies in the comments below. I'll see you soon, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.